Hello there, I'm Kios the Ronin Beatmaker, and welcome to another episode of Ronin Review, The Blue-Eyed Samurai, Episode 2. Great show. Great show. Before we get into spoilers, I just want to say the show continues to stay strong. The story is still strong. We now know her name, Mizu. That's not really a spoiler, so. But I really enjoy it. The action is still great. It feels very um, reminiscent of kind of watching an old anime, but also still kind of grounded, which is fun. I do enjoy the level of detail to the world building and the cultural practices. I really appreciate that a lot. So I really enjoy that the animation's still good. The action sequences are really good, like I said, very fun, very they really do pay homage to a lot of the old kind of warrior mindset scenes that you would get in old classic, Japanese fighting films, and even, from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, whether it's Japanese or Kung Fu. You catch my drift. So I really recommend people out there, if you haven't seen the show and you're still apprehensive, I don't know what you're waiting for. Go for it. You will not be disappointed. It definitely does start off quite strong and quite heavy. For those who've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So, without further ado, let's get into the spoilers because I don't want to further delay. So, I'll give you guys 30 seconds if you do not want to hear any spoilers, because I'm going to get deep into the spoilers. If you're not ready for it, if you're not interested, prepare yourself. I'm going to give you another 10 seconds to make up your mind. Three, two, one. All right, let's do it. So, like I said, we now know the blue-eyed samurai's name, Mizu. We also know that she has been essentially binding her breast from a young age. Essentially, that's what's been allowing her to be able to move more and be able to fight more. That's what I'm kind of observing when she's when that supposed bookmaker comes in asking for a sword for revenge, and you can tell when she's training with that supposed bookmaker, he's kind of mocking Mizu, and she kind of realizes that like her breasts are kind of preventing her from moving as well as she'd like to. So she binds her breasts, and it's a really interesting scene. It definitely, for me, this isn't a woman who's doing it because of some kind of cultural Marxist psychological transhumanistic agenda. This is a woman who's doing it to improve her ability to perfect her swordsmanship. So there is a level of realism to this. Very similar to kind of like what's in Mulan. But I don't even recall if Mulan did that. I don't remember. Probably. Um, because there's a scene when they're building the sword that even the blacksmith notices the blood coming from underneath her armpits from her binding her breast. So you know that she's doing it to probably partly to kind of like, in some way stifle the growth of her breast because she ties it tight. So it's not something that's kind of like pushing for like a social kind of commentary, but more of a practical commentary on her circumstances and how she can further her capabilities. So I really like that. I can appreciate that. I don't think there's anything wrong there. Um, and it's very grounded and it's not preachy or anything like that. It's like these are her circumstances. This is how she's going to adapt to survive and to become a great swordsman. So I respect it and I appreciate it in this in the level of detail to the writing and understanding how to kind of respect not only her femininity and her body, but also kind of respect the circumstances of the story. We don't really get writing like this anymore at all. So I'm very, 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 very impressed, and I appreciate that. And even with what's his name, Bloodsoak. I'm just gonna call him that because he's got a long the the samurai who it turns out is an assassin and Bloodsoak, and it's interesting how she kind of realizes that her mistake and like you can't be believing every story that someone tells you because more often than not, someone is lying for an ulterior motive, and and sometimes it doesn't have to always be for a bad thing. We have people out there, including ourselves. We have all done it. There have been times where we have all, at one point or another, lied for a good reason, and that can be a level of interpretation for some people. But there have been times where we've had to lie in order to stifle the blow of some news in regards to somebody else or whatever it may be. These scenarios happen. So I really appreciate that and the full circle of that scene. So now she's on her quest. She's on her way to get a boat to get to the island, and the four fangs are sent. And the introduction of this episode with the samurai from the dojo and his girl pretty much just like sleeping with him into convincing him to go get revenge kind of backfires for her because she's now going to be offered up as a wife to the shogun's son. So it's kind of it's a very interesting dilemma that she finds herself in, and he goes after Mizu to kill her and regain his honor. But the four fangs, the introduction of the four fangs was phenomenal. Um, just hilarious, just the organs splattering on the ceilings and everything, and the same innkeeper just complaining about blood. Very funny, very great. The consistency is good. Um, and they make it to the town, and I really enjoyed the town. I thought it was funny the holiday and how they have to in the following morning they jump into the water to get the stick to get their wish fulfilled. And I love how no hands, I can't remember his name, apologies, and he's talking with that woman and she's like, I'm gonna get my husband. Oh, it was so funny watching them all stripped butt naked and jumping into the water and watching that old lady just run into the water, well, barely running, just screaming, husband, husband. Oh man, very fun. Very fun. Oh, that was good. I was surprised. No Hands was packing. He was packing. I was impressed. But that was a great. I loved that scene and kind of her kind of like trying to push him into like finding his own path because he wants to be a samurai, but it's like, bro, you got no hands. but he's good at making noodles. And in this town, it seems like there's these two local noodle shops, and he's realizing that, oh wow, they're way better at making noodles than I am. I don't mind this character. I don't mind No Hands. I think he's a pleasant little balance to the revenge and to the blood and gore. He kind of adds a little. He adds a little level of humanity to Mizu that's kind of necessary. Uh, and he's awkward and uncomfortable, and in a good way. Like, I enjoy his annoyance. He's annoying, but you can't help but enjoy him. And that's something that I think the writers do a good job of making him this kind of annoying character that you kind of begrudgingly can't help but like because he's so genuine. And that's hard to pull off. And kudos to the voice actor for doing a really good job of emphasizing that genuine, just childlikeness that No Hands displays. It's really good, honestly. I really enjoy it. They do a great job of showcasing that, and even and for the training sequence, as he's kind of dealing with his own insecurity, and she's kind of mentally preparing for her next kill. And I really enjoyed the training sequence of her kind of mastering her technique and mastering her desires. Excuse me. So it's really good. I really enjoyed the encounter with the Four Fangs and her using the environment to her advantage. She knew she couldn't take them on simultaneously, so she jumped off the cliff and used that to her advantage by taking them on single-handedly, which was really smart. This show does a really good job of showcasing her strengths and weaknesses and forcing her to find ways to defeat her opponents that are realistically within line with her capabilities. And that I really appreciate. They don't make her this kind of like crazy super soldier that can do everything. Like, she can take all four of them on at once, which she knew she couldn't do. Um, she knew, like physically, she just could not do it. She wasn't gonna have that strength. These were trained killers, and even the assassin, he's like, the dojo's trained for show. Warriors trained to kill. Um, so I really like that emphasis on kind of reminding us that the guys at the dojo, they've never been in real battles. They've never really killed anyone necessarily in the same in the veins of fighting for your life, as opposed to fighting for your honor and recognition, where there are rules to be held. They do a really good job of showcasing that, as the assassins kind of cheat a little bit, and I really enjoyed it. They really do a good job of showing her having to overcome their singular attack by separating them. And even then, when she's facing the commander of the Four Fangs, and it turns out to be blood soaked, even then that fight was really well done, because she ends up nearly getting killed because she becomes distracted by the dojo's star student who's been tracking her, and she gets cut, and she's down. And I really enjoyed that scene where Bloodsoak is coming to kill her with the final stroke, and she just throws the blade at the exact right moment when he's least when he's most vulnerable in his attack. It's really, really well crafted. I really enjoy this show. I have to admit, they do a great job, and him kind of just laying there like, I cannot, I shouldn't be killed by something so unpure. I really enjoy it. Good little one liner at the end for a villain to have. This show is really well written. This show is really well written in the sense that everything is really well thought out. All the details, minor details, the fight scenes, everything's really well thought out, in a way that it just flows naturally. And for an animated show of Western influence, it seems like that's very shocking. Um, I'm sorry, I'm just giving you my personal opinion. So I really enjoyed that. I thought it was great how it ends with um, the head student, Taigen, I think his name is Taigen. Yeah, Taigen, I think. Him not sure whether or not he's going to kill Mizu because she's severely wounded, and just as they're about to fight, she collapses. So it's really great to see how this plays out, and especially whether or not Taigen is going to join her on her quest for revenge, because that is another way for him. Well, actually, no, that might come into conflict with his. Well, we'll see. I'm very very curious to see how it's going to play out. Another great episode. The story is flowing well. We get to learn a little bit more about the European man who's essentially been on house arrest, and he's mastered many of the arts and crafts of Japan during his house arrest. So I'm really curious to see the political ramifications and the political side of who this individual is and his significance to Japan and the political um, stability at the time with the Shogun. So it's very interesting. It reminds me of the TV show on Hulu, Shogun, which is I haven't seen the most recent episodes yet. Waiting to just binge that show because I really like it. So I just want to see it all at once. But this is really getting good. The plot is thickening in a good way. I'm really excited to see how they play it all out. So I would say, everyone, please, if you're still not sure about the show and you've listened to the spoiler, I mean, while you're at it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. But yeah, this is another great episode. Very fun, lighthearted when it's appropriate, intense when it's needed, well balanced. And I'm here for it. I love it. I'm glad there's a season two, and I can't wait. So yeah, make sure you guys check the show out. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, and please make sure to leave some comments with your thoughts below. What are your thoughts on episode two? Have you been enjoying the show so far? What are your thoughts on the animation? Anything that stands out to you? Please let me know. What are your thoughts on the respect to the cultural and the social hierarchy of Japan at that time? I really enjoyed that part. So please let me know what you guys think. And until next time, stay positive, stay focused, stay true, and much love.